more than meets the eye. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers.
Alright. Sitting here back on PlayStation 4 for the afternoon, and I'd say that overall, the TAC practice session, the TAC tryout session was a complete success. Got a chance to try something new and see what it is the two good hopefuls have for TAC in the coming future as they continue practicing what it is they need to do and working on the pros and the cons, which were very quickly brought to light in the totality of the match that happened here earlier, the 2-on-1 situation. And so while I'm sitting here waiting for this update for Horizon Zero Dawn to go ahead and install, I'm going to sit here and go over some of the pros and the cons I noticed in the middle of the battle before the actual final product comes out, which you guys are going to see, if it hadn't already come out. So anyhow, let me start. Okay, so if you guys want to recap here, the premise of the whole point and why I decided to fight them both at the same time in a 2 versus 1, not so much was to test my own capabilities in a highly combatively aware situation, but for the two of them in order to demonstrate teamwork, because that's the one point that I noticed that always seems to falter back and forth in clan battles that we have, is that a number of our players aren't always as talkative or communicative as they need to be at key points. Now, with the two particular combatants here, well, not to boast, I mean, I could more than likely probably take them individually in a one-on-one, which is why I pitched this idea in order to see what it is they can do against the one opponent, myself, and how well they can communicate in order to collectively and respectfully take me down. The premise was for them to at least beat me 2 out of 3 times, and while they did not succeed in doing that, I will give them credit that they did succeed in defeating me after the fact in Capture the Flag, which I give a very good benefit to, because that was a very good show of communications, especially considering the terms of it being a Capture the Flag friendly map. So, in one regard, while one perspective theirs was simply to win, while mine was simply not to lose, what I was looking at here was exactly how they're communicating and what it is I'm seeing as I'm taking them down, or picking them off, because obviously I won't take them both collectively, otherwise I would be shot down. So the key for me in order to outsmart them is to use the entire environment to my advantage in order to successfully pick them off advantageously at select times. And when I go to look back at the footage, or in the future when the footage is going to be reviewed or played through again, I would suggest to also take in note about using the environment to your advantage, because that's the one thing that I noticed during all the instances, that they were not completely making use of all the tools given in the environment. Not using items, since items were banned from this specific challenge that I invoked in the match, but rather to use the environment in terms of where you're able to go in the environment in order to gain the high ground as fast as possible, or where you can see, how you can see your opponent, how far out in the distance you can see your opponent, if you can see a digital pixelized effigy of sorts or something, or just watching the environment when they go cloaking. They give off a small specific radiation of a cloak that you can see at the last second before they become completely illusion, before they become a complete illusion in the environment, which well, things like that. Just little detail things here and there that can allow you to still continue to be persistent in applying continued pressure and damage stacking on the opponent at a fast and calculated rate. While this might sound difficult in one perspective, at another perspective, over time, as you learn how to aim down sights faster, ADSing, and knowing how to track your opponent, this actually becomes very easily to where it's almost mere child's play in order to aim down your sights as quick as possible. This particular attribute that I'm describing was actually very present in the Scout 2v1 that we started off the combat with. Because I could see that they were not only working together, but both of their aims were very, very good in how they play. So I can see that they're predominantly Scout type players, which I will give a note on that is not too common in has not been common in tax ranks, is to just have a pure scout relevant player. We've had a couple once before, but they haven't been any that stay as a main, like a predominant scout main. Everybody is always destroyer and never trying to take alternative options and trying to expand on them in order to be equally as effective or efficient as their predominant class that they like to play as a general norm. Again, working outside the box and expanding your comfort zone and getting to know different classes and different builds and blah 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 blah, like I'm sure I've gone over many a time once before. This will not be one of them times, I assure you. And then in the offing, there have been those one or two players that have been predominant scout players, if not nothing else, like Jamaz or Atlas Obey, where they run scout builds rather efficiently and take to the field using the environment to their advantage as best as they are able to in different regards. And so if this is a new generation of TAC players that can use Scout class, then I look forward to seeing how creatively they can make use of the Scout to its maximum potential. And this can easily be helped along. The next thing I'll review is the actual combat itself. I could see for the most part easily that Noah was the one that was stacking most of the kills while Jesse was right behind in order to try and gain as much of the assists as possible, which tells me right then and there about what their general roles are in a combat environment. So while Noah can stack kills or can begin to get kills in his own right with a pretty decent amount of aim, I can see that Jesse, while using the environment in regards to trying to do like a pseudo spam in timing his shots or picking off shots of opponents that have already been injured or shot at already, it's not able to work in his favor a lot of the time in order to gain kills in his own right. And so it seems like you would kind of sort of have to pseudo piggyback off of getting kills from somebody else or taking kills as it is, which can work in a sense, which I think can actually be a counterbalance for him, is to try and take up a sniper role, because the sniper role's main premise is to take kills in timing your shots accordingly and in timing those shots against the correct opponent, the correct target at the correct time. Because if you take the shot and miss it, your position is revealed and you're dead. If you take the shot and hit it, your position is revealed and the opponent automatically takes a defensive position. So when you take that next shot, you have to make sure that that next shot can connect. While not necessarily needing to be a sniper relevant shot, it can be a shot that's closer. Next, when an added person came in the lobby, the King Viper individual as it were, then it made things a little bit more intriguing when we got to the Scientist and the Titan outline in order to do a 2v2 Scientist and a 2v2 Titan. Now those I'm not going to strike either way because items were used by both sides. It was used by King Viper and another thing by Jesse. So I'm not going to worry about including those or incorporating those into the tally outline of the overall challenge premise that was given to my two individual clanees, as it is. That's not relevant. But what I was looking at while we were playing along was exactly how they use those classes. And it seems like, again, the communications can work in scientists playing off of each other very, very beautifully. And so I believe trying to give them a very good outline for Battle Medic can be highly beneficial, because if they can keep that type of communication going, it makes it very difficult for any one of them to be picked off at any one particular time. And I like that outline, especially if they're very quick on it. With the Titan builds, with the Titan 2v2, that was kind of a dead game, because I could tell the two of them were not very good at Titan at all. However, Jesse's Titan did impress me some, as he was able to take Scrapmaker's head on in order to successfully gain kills a few times in a row before going down himself. The KD needs to be tightened up some, but aside from that, I will say that there's some hope for Titan play in that one particular player in this Jesse. The one thing that threw me off that would easily make a DQ out of all of this was the use of items, because in the middle of this thing here trying to hide it, I could tell that intercooler was used and that recharger was used more than one time on more than one occasion between both relevant 2-on-1s that needed to be a win in their favor, the scouts and the destroyers. And so while that would easily be a disqualification and they wouldn't be TAC players period, I instead decided to look the other way and change my mind, because the habit of using items can easily be taken away, because it's just a crutch that you would need or necessitate in order to gain an edge for a small amount of time. Now granted, while I can be lenient about that, other people will not be lenient about that. And if it's caught in a clan battle-ish outline, it's an automatic disqualification. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Your team is automatically disqualified because you made the choice to irresponsibly take matters into your own hand to give an edge that was seen by everybody involved. Whether or not you used the item or not, the item was still picked up, and thus a disqualification would take effect. That's why the other point of this challenge was to make it also somewhat borderlining a clan battle outline. So just like how you could take down anybody in a clan battle, to keep in mind to not use items any one specific time, even if you feel you really need it. Because at that point, when your health is low, this is where environmental awareness and resourcefulness automatically do need to kick in. And this can be taught to you over time, and I can show you how to do this, as I've done with past TAC players that have gone on to be bigger names in other clans, and as I've had resourcefully set in tow for TAC currently. I can show you how to be resourceful, so that way when you're low on health, you don't have to feel like you need to go hide and take an item or something. You can actually just either wait it out for the health cube to respawn, or try and wait it out for the medic to get back to you, if the medic is paying attention, or if there is a medic even relevant to the match or to the situation stimulating, or to make the best use of your character before you die. That way you get a chance to take somebody else down with you, or you get a chance to inflict a significant amount of damage that sets it up for the next person next to you, or for a fellow teammate. That way you make the best that you have to offer without hindering away from a challenge. You're just adding to the challenge or making it easier for your team in order to succeed. I'm trying to think of an easier way to elaborate without it sounding more complex than it may already sound in my articulation, but I'm just trying to keep it one-dimensional. And so in the aftermath of all this, I'm happy to welcome the new players that we have here so far that did succeed in passing my test, because the objective wasn't so much for them to beat me, but was to show me how well they can communicate to complete and achieve a common goal, even though the both of them don't know each other until today, or until this challenge came up, and now they do know each other. I don't just pitch this to anybody, or I don't just let anybody try to join TAC, because you have to either want to be a part of the group, or you have to present something different that I haven't already seen that can help to advantageously continue TAC's growth. Because I don't want to just wholeheartedly let anybody join that's either going to cause issues with everybody just for their own personal gain, or that can't honestly contribute to the group and would end up being just would just end up being somebody that can't carry their own weight, or would just be either a sheep that would wait for somebody to tell them what to do without them trying to figure it out on their own, or can't improve, and if I put you in a serious situation, you're just going to get killed over and over and over again without any specific gain about why you're dying so much over and over and over again. And when you fall, the whole team falls. and then you wonder where it all goes wrong. It all goes wrong with how it is that basic preparations start and how well you believe that you are ready in order to tackle and deal with people that are stronger than you or that are more resourceful than you. That's also another thing that I try to keep in mind when I try to go talent hunting or talent scouting. While it's fine to be a good character in your own right, I also want to try to seek out players that have very good potential and good promise if shown a little attention. And a little attention here or there is what a lot of my friends can do in just normal online activities all together as a team. And so while it feels like, once again, T.A.C.T is starting over with a whole lot of newer players that all need to get accustomed to each other and working together as a team, and we're doing all this over again, I do wholeheartedly wish us luck in trying to see if they can jump the gun, as it were, and enjoy playing with each other as a team, and in doing so can vastly improve amidst just having simple fun with friends. And as time goes on, I will monitor this in order to see how well their growth can go, individually and collectively. There are clan battles on the horizon, so the fruits of said labor will bud eventually. How fast that happens is up to them at this point forward. This is my general synopsis of the T.A.C.T tryout session. Y'all have a good one for the day. I'm gonna play myself some Horizon.